Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Susan Welton, Oracle Marketing Manager at Perficient, and I'm excited to be moderating today's webinar, an Oracle Analytics Solution for Absence Management During Times of Disruption. Time permitting, we do plan on having a Q&A session at the end of today's event, so please make sure to type your questions into the window located in the right panel of your screen, and you can feel free to do that at any point in time. Two questions often come up with our online events. Can I get a copy of the slides and a link to the recording? The answer to both questions is yes. We will email you with that information on how to access both the slides and the recording following today's event. Without further delay, I'd like to introduce today's speakers, Miles Gilsonen and Mazen Manassa. Miles has more than 25 years of global experience in the design and deployment of large-scale ERP data warehousing and business intelligence solutions. He spent the first 10 years of his career at a Big Four consulting firm leading international ERP and BI deployments. He then moved into industry, where he held senior management positions in business intelligence and global finance technology. He has been leveraging Oracle BI technology to transform companies into data-driven organizations for the past 15 years. Mazen is an analytics solutions delivery expert in a wide range of areas covering supply chain, financials, procurement, sales, marketing, service, HR, and projects. Data warehousing expertise combined with in-depth knowledge of the Oracle Analytics on-premises and cloud platforms as a result of tenured consulting experience. He has a long successful track record of managing multiple projects and engaging with a range of clients and stakeholders simultaneously. Welcome to my speakers. Miles, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Susan. And thank you everyone for joining today. Let's run through the agenda quickly, one or two slides about Perficient. Then we're gonna set the stage with a brief overview of the Oracle Analytics portfolio. We'll get right into the headcount and absence management solution. Then we'll have some time for Q&A. So first, about Perficient. So we are a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. We're founded in 1997. We've got about 20 North American locations. Revenue back in 2019 was 565. We're about 3,700 colleagues. We're a global company from a delivery standpoint, global delivery centers in China, India, and Mexico. We have practices dedicated to the major industries and vendors. We've won a number of awards. Now, with regard to our Oracle practice, we've got three main pillars. We've got ERP, EPM, and business intelligence or analytics. I'm in the analytics practice, as is my colleague Mazen. We've got a number of industry verticals, including healthcare, energy, oil and gas, financial services, and consumer markets. We've been in this Oracle space for quite some time, about 18 years or so. We've got about 250 experts in Oracle platforms, around about 3,000 deployments. We've got a number of certifications and specializations. Now, if you look at our analytics practice within our broader Oracle unit, a couple of important points. Again, we've been at this for a while, since 2004. Very experienced team. The average tenure in the Oracle space is 8 to 10 years, in some cases quite longer than that, but that's an average. Some of our senior leaders were former members of the Oracle BI engineering team. They literally wrote code that was delivered to customers in Oracle Business Intelligence. We have very deep process expertise to go along with our technical expertise. We're an authorized education center. Perficient actually runs its own business on Oracle Analytics Cloud. So I am actually just a straight up end user of Analytics Cloud for my own company. Now, in terms of the solutions and services that we offer, we really provide the full array of services you would expect from a data and analytics provider across the full technology stack. We help companies with their strategy, figure out their roadmap, what their future state should be. We'll do health checks on their existing environment. Of course, we're laser focused on helping companies get to the Oracle Cloud, whether that's migrating existing applications or doing new cloud development on the platforms that I'll talk to you about in a second. But we don't want to leave our friends on-prem behind either. There's still a big install base and a lot of people needing assistance there. So we do a lot of work on-prem with Oracle Business Intelligence, Oracle BI apps, and Oracle Analytics Server. And as I say, it's a full stack. So we go very, very deep in ETL and data management and helping get data out of systems and load it into Oracle. Now, if you look at our track record there, about 450 projects, a good percentage of repeat business. And as I say, we really cover the full array of services, whether it's Oracle Analytics Cloud, Oracle BI applications. We've done many of those. We've done a white paper and a webinar. We're now helping clients think through their strategy for what to do with BI applications. Should they upgrade or replace? We've done a lot of work on Oracle Business Intelligence on-prem, of course, and data warehouse and data integration. So now we're going to jump into the Oracle Analytics portfolio. We just want to give you a sense of what is in this portfolio so you have some context when we go and show you our solution. Working from left to right, Oracle Analytics Cloud is Oracle's enterprise reporting platform. It runs in the cloud, of course. It's a great mix of governance and self-service. There's a lot of self-service capabilities in terms of data preparation and visualization. Also has built-in machine learning and some advanced natural language capabilities. A lot of interesting functionality there. Oracle Analytics Server is the on-premise version of Oracle Analytics Cloud. Having said that, don't let the name fool you. Oracle Analytics Server is essentially the next version of OB. So if anyone's running OB, Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition, that's the next version. Oracle Analytics for Application, these are pre-built analytical applications that are created solely, exclusively for Oracle's cloud SaaS applications, ERP, HCM, supply chain, and customer experience. And then lastly, Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse, which is Oracle's cloud data warehouse. I'm going to say a few words on that in a moment. Just wanted to highlight where Oracle stands with regard to the industry. On the left-hand side is the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Analytics and Business Intelligence. And Oracle just this year made a move into the visionary category. Oracle was always very strong at enterprise governance. They've got an enterprise semantic model. Now they're equally as strong in self-service and visualization. So they're expecting to move into the leader quadrant quite shortly. This one on the right, people are not as familiar with this one. This is data management solutions for analytics. So that really means data warehouse, for lack of a better term, database and data warehouse in support of analytics use cases. So you can see Oracle is actually the leader, and that is for their database as well as for the autonomous data warehouse, which is a cloud-based data warehouse. This one people probably don't know. Most people hear about Snowflake or Redshift at AWS. They don't really know about Oracle's position there. That's interesting. So a little bit more about Oracle Analytics Cloud. There are three main principles that underpin OAC, as we call it. First is augmented analytics. You might have heard that term, might wonder what is really meant by that. What that means is, and it really works in a cloud environment where the platform itself is helping the analysts do their tasks in a way that they can be more effective and they can do things more quickly. And that could be suggesting how to join two data sets so you don't have to trundle through the data and figure that out. It could be suggesting that you mask some data that's privacy type data. It could be giving you population of counties and cities automatically. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. So it's almost like a force multiplier for your analytics package. And then the governance and self-service. So self-service is fantastic. It's wonderful. We all like it because we can create our own visualizations, and it's very powerful. But at the same time, it can create a little bit of chaos when everyone's calculating their own metrics. So there is a certain amount of governance that's required, and Oracle is very strong at having that governance. They've had it from day one. They have an enterprise semantic model and a strong security layer. So they've got a good mix between those two. In terms of the functionality, Oracle Analytics Cloud can connect to virtually any data source, almost any data source. You'll see here, there's a lot here. You've got your traditional relational data sources, of course, Oracle Database, IBM DB2, but then you've got some of the more modern non-relational data sources that Oracle can connect to. So you've got Hadoop, Spark, MongoDB, etc. So Oracle Analytics Cloud can connect to many, many sources, and it's tightly integrated with autonomous data warehouse and cloud big data. Okay, Oracle Analytics Server, I'm not going to go through every one of these because it's basically the on-premises version of OAC. All that functionality that you can see on the screen, you get with Oracle Analytics Server. So if you're running on-prem, but you want that functionality, the cloud Oracle Analytics Server is the way to go. We'll spend a moment here on Oracle Analytics for Fusion ERP. So Oracle Analytics for Applications these are Oracle's pre-built applications for their SaaS applications. So if you're running ERP, Oracle Cloud ERP, this application, Oracle Analytics for Fusion ERP, it's generally available, it's out in the marketplace, it's built on top of the Autonomous Data Warehouse, it's built on Oracle Analytics Cloud, and what is interesting and a little bit unique about this offering is that Oracle provides the data pipeline to get the data out of the cloud SaaS application into the data warehouse. They provide it and they're going to own it. So it's like you've got this permanent connection to your ERP. And as the ERP gets updated, so does your data pipeline. So those difficulties that you have on-prem in upgrading, or we went to the new version of EBS or PeopleSoft and now our ETL is not working, you're not going to have those anymore because Oracle is going to own that. At the same time, though, Oracle is making these extensible, so you can add new columns, new reports, you can add new data sources, new non-Oracle data sources can be added. So there's a lot that can be done here. I'll just give you an example. Metric. So it kind of works off the idea of cards in addition to reports and dashboards. So the card comes with built-in alerts. You can compare it to a target. You're able to specify how this calculation should work. You can even start discussion threads on these metrics. Now these cards, the metaphor that's being used is cards and decks. So these cards can be put together into decks. So you can have a deck for your P&L review or financial ratio review. So you can piece these cards together into decks. You can create your own cards. You can create your own decks. And then what you can do is drill down on these cards into the Autonomous Data Warehouse, into the transactions that would have been fed in from your applications to get more detail. Okay, the Autonomous Data Warehouse. Now, you might not be familiar with Autonomous Data Warehouse, but it is a world-class cloud-based data warehouse. Autonomous means that you are not going to be doing anything really with respect to maintenance or upgrades or even performance. Oracle is owning performance of the Autonomous Data Warehouse. It is something that you can provision in less than a minute. And if you're so inclined, Oracle has a 1 CPU and 1 terabyte Autonomous Data Warehouse that is always free. You actually never have to pay for it. So if you want to try it out, you just go to Oracle Free Cloud and you can provision it. You answer a few questions and you have it. Now this can scale up to petabytes and it's very fast. Behind the scenes, and this is different than some of the other cloud data warehouses, ADW is running on specialized database hardware called Exadata. So it's purpose-built for running databases at very, very high performance. So this is different than some of the other cloud databases that are running on virtual machines, and behind the scenes, there's just kind of normal commodity hardware. So that's, I think, why Oracle has the confidence to say, don't worry about performance, we've got that covered. It's elastic. You'll only pay for what you use. You can scale up and down on demand very quickly. You can scale compute separate from storage, which is important if you have some situations where you need more compute resource. In almost all cases, it's going to be lower cost than your on-premise data warehouse, just due to the fact that you don't have to have people doing administration and maintenance or fine-tuning performance, and it supports advanced analytics. So that's a quick run through of the Oracle Analytics portfolio, and it's on OAC and Autonomous Data Warehouse that we have built the solution that you're going to shortly see. I'm going to transition into this solution and just kind of give you a preview, then we'll get into actually showing you the solution. And words only convey so much, so I'm going to run through this fairly quickly. So what we've developed is a headcount and absence management solution leveraging OAC and ADW to essentially help companies, particularly during this time where there's a lot of disruption in the organization's workforce. And what the intention here is to give something to companies that allows them to be proactive and not reactive. And in order to be proactive, you need good information. You need to know across the full surface area of your workforce, where are the absences really occurring? Where are things trending upward? What locations are being impacted more than other locations? What job roles are being impacted? How many people have we furloughed? For how long have we furloughed those people? If you furlough people for too long, well, let's be frank, many of them won't be coming back because they do want to be employed. What does the distribution of headcount look like? So a lot of these questions are answered in this solution, and the idea is if you have that information, you can be more proactive. Now we have purposely done a blending or a mashup, as they call it, of data from your HCM system, and it doesn't matter what HCM system you have, could be anything. So we've purposely kind of blended data that you most certainly have, I would suspect, from your HCM system, like your absences by organization, department, location, absence reason, job category, a lot of good metrics that talks about absences. But what we've done is overlay and blend that with COVID-19, reflecting the current state of affairs that we find ourselves in. And from that, we can see, what is happening with respect to cases, what is the kind of average impact from a ratio standpoint on our locations based on the number of cases that are in that particular location. Where do we think we will have issues with regard to absence next based on what's happening in the COVID space. So that's why you see here, we've basically put a blend of Consolidate Analytics, and this is what you're going to see. You're going to see that consolidated, in some cases, on the exact same chart, so that you can be proactive. And when we say be proactive, not reactive, that means many, many things. That means not only taking steps to potentially backfill resources who are not able to make it to the job for one reason or the other. It could be that they can't afford daycare and their kids are home, they're not at school. Could be that unfortunately they're sick. And not only that, but allows a company to allocate their employee assistance resources optimally. So I'm sure you've read that even people that are going to work, sometimes they're having some issues with mental health. The stress is overwhelming. Maybe they're shorthanded at work. So there might be employee assistance programs, counseling, whatnot, that you might want to divert to a particular location. In addition to maintaining operations, not losing productivity, and preventing customers from kind of moving away during this time period. So there's a lot of value that can be gained from this information. And we need to kind of make a note here that the COVID-19 data is publicly available data. We have used two publicly available data sources, Johns Hopkins and New York Times GitHub. You can go download it just like we downloaded it. We are not providing you data. We're not a data provider. We're just kind of telling you where the information is and showing you how it can be used from an analytical standpoint. Okay, with that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague Mazen for the demo.
Thanks, Miles. So what I'm going to do next here is go through and walk through our demo of what the HR solution is going to look like with COVID-19 data. I'm going to open up an OAC. This is the Oracle Analytics Cloud project that we're going to go through. And before going into presentation mode and show you, maybe around 10, 11 canvases that are pre-built, I'm going to get out of the box with this solution. I'm going to walk you through what we call the subject area or the data model that comes with it. So you have a better idea of what data sets we're dealing with here. So if we look at the left side, we have the HCM absence management data model or the subject area, and we have what we call dimensions. And these are things that we would be loading from your existing HCM system. So for example, the absence event. How long was an absence for? When did it start? When did it end? The absence type. What are the categories for these absences? What reasons are there? And these are all loaded as defined in your HCM system. So we're not using predefined categories or reasons. From the solution perspective, all driven by what you use for your organization. We've got business units. So these are the internal organizations. You can track headcounts and absences based on your internal orgs. You can also track by department. So you can see where the absences are, which departments, where the backfill is mostly needed. This is granular down to the employee level. So we have a lot of employee level details that we can load into Oracle Analytics. But this is not required. So for security reasons, you do not want to load employee data. You do not have to use this dimension. There's also employment. So the employment dimension gives us information about whether it's full-time related, hourly, whether they are salaried employees or not. So we know what type of employees are experiencing higher absences. The geography dimension is going to be key. This is going to allow us to blend together the HCM data with the COVID data by country, by state, province, and down to the county level for the US, as we're going to see here. And then we have HR position, again, something that we load from HCM. The job, that's going to be key to figure out which jobs are experiencing more absences than others. The location, that's the business location where your company has offices or do work. There's a typical time dimension, so we can slice in different time slices. And then we get to the metrics. So the first one, this folder is called absences. It has typical metrics around tracking absence, whether it's number of occurrences, employees, average days for employees that are absent, and then absent days and hours if you go track things by hours. We have the workforce folder. So this is what's going to give us headcount. Again, by all these dimensions, we can look at headcount. And if you use FTE, the full-time equivalent metric, we can also load the FTE in there as well. And the headcount is going to be key here to do the employee absence rate. So it's a number of absences may not be indicative by themselves, but if you look at the rate compared to the headcount, that gives you a better idea of what's happening in different locations. And the final one I want to bring up here is the COVID-19 data. So this is obviously not from your HCM system. It's something that you would load, as Miles mentioned. Johns Hopkins or New York Times have data that's publicly available, and we have a mechanism to load it, and so that it works well with your HCM data. So from there, we are getting on a daily basis, by country, by state, and in the US, we have it down to the county level, the active cases every day, the confirmed cases, and what's new, so we can figure out the new trends every day. So I'll come back to the subject area in a bit, and I'll show you how you can leverage this to answer questions and build your own analyses on it, irrespective of what you are going to see now in terms of pre-built dashboards. So with that, I'm going to go to the presentation mode and walk you through the pre-built dashboards that we have for this solution. So starting with the first canvas, this is going to be COVID-19 data analysis. So what we're looking at here on the upper left is a trend for the US. This is a daily trend of COVID-19 cases. You can see the line trending, and the bars are tracking daily death numbers. So there's two axes here. So this is for the whole country, but you can filter it down to states or counties. The lower graph here is a progression of cases by state. So on a daily basis, we're seeing how the states are progressing. You would notice the green bars down here are for Washington State. This was more of a problem early on in March. It's becoming less of an issue now. There's more cases in the green, which is New York State. And you notice California is up here. Now you see more traction, got more cases occurring in New Jersey, and you can look through the other regions as well. Now the map here is a breakdown for California specifically, and it's broken down by county. So if I hover over here, I can see the confirmed cases, deaths, new cases, new deaths for each of those states, and they'll be updated on a daily basis. And these are the details. You can see the highlighted rows indicating the highest with the new cases. The next canvas is very similar, but it's focused around New York. So just an example of how things may differ. Again, broken down by county. And you'd see the rows that are highlighted are indicating new cases that are increasing. So for example, Fairfield, Connecticut, maybe less on total new confirmed, but it is increasing in terms of new cases. And you would tell where the areas are getting more cases than the others. Now, this is a canvas that is focused around HCM data. So the bubbles we're looking at on the map are, this is demo data, of course. These are the business locations or the locations where your company has offices or do work. So we're looking at where you are distributed as a company, and with details on the right side broken down by absence reasons, whether it's infection, furlough, sickness, what type of reasons absences were for. We've got the absence occurrence metric, how many employees were absent, the absence rate, and the headcount. Now, what's nice about this is you can narrow down easily by clicking one of the locations on the map, and you'll get a refresh of details specific to that location. So it's easy to navigate from one location to the other and see how the absence rates differ across the different areas. Now, this canvas is going to be the place where you're going to see a mashup of both data sets together. So on the map now, we're looking at the COVID-19 cases by state in this case. So I'm hovering over California, see 8,000 cases so far. And when I look at the office location here, I can see what headcount I have there in that area, absent employees, and the absent occurrences. And when I click on that office, I'm going to see a breakdown for that specific office by absence category, whether it's medical, family leave, or whatever categories you have defined in your HCM system. Now we have the details here by state showing us COVID-19 data in terms of cases, new cases, absence occurrences, absence rate. So this is a function of the headcount for each of the states. And the absent employees and the average days per absent employee. So if you see a change in your typical average days for absent employees, that means there's something unusual going on in those areas. This is again a mashup of COVID-19 cases with HCM information, but this is more granular down to the county level. So if I'm hovering over the shaded areas, this is COVID-19 data overlaid at the county level, and the bubbles are my office locations. So we can see exactly in which, within the state of California, which business locations are experiencing higher absence. This is a distribution of headcount, again, by different locations. So the bars are indicating higher headcounts in those locations, but also the color is going to indicate the absence rate. So I see Washington has a darker bar. That means there's a relatively higher absence rate in that location. Now, when I click on a state, I'm going to get the details about what I clicked on, the headcount for that state, the absence rate. In this case, I'm seeing 0.7%, and the breakdown by department. So again, I click on Ohio. I'm going to see what the numbers look like for that state, and I can see what departments are operating out of that state, so we see where the impact to our business is going to be. This is a breakdown of absences by category. So we can see whether it's medical, vacation, furlough related, whatever categories are defined, but also the reasons that are defined as well. And down here, we're going to see a trend of the absences by category. And the shading is going to highlight the things that are going above the normal. So we can see, for example, in this case, medical for the month of March, we can see the darker color, higher number of absent days. And the average days per absent employee is also reflected here on a monthly basis. And to the right, we're going to have a trend of the different absence categories. So we can see which categories are increasing or changing over time. The vacation, we can see the yellow is the medical, and then we see some furlough here happening in March. An easy way to start at a high level before going to the detail level. This is a similar breakdown, but it goes deeper into the different reasons. So reason is typically a lower level than the category. And again, we're seeing a trend over time with the shading to indicate the months or the reasons that are going above the normal. So in the typical reasons such as infection, family illness, vacation, furlough, sickness, you can see the shading here is going to tell you that, okay, there's more absences happening in this month for that reason. And down here, we have the top reasons that are reflected. And this is a monthly trend of reasons, so we can easily see how the different reasons are trending month to month. Now, up here in the upper right corner, we've got some narrative, and this may sound simple, but it's pretty sophisticated in terms of getting something generated like this. This is what we call the natural language generation. It's an AI function built into Oracle Analytics, and it's basically describing what's going on with the data. So in this case, it says we can see absence reasons account for more than 50% of the total. 2 absence reasons account more than 50% of the total. These are in this case, the vacation, 34%, the infection, 25%. The 12 other absence reasons combined make up the rest with 40%. So sometimes they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but sometimes pictures are too complicated to describe the situation. And this is where this type of narrative is going to tell you what is going on with the data. This is a look at the different business units or the internal organizations that are defined, and it's also showing us the jobs. So very key matrix to show the intersection between what jobs are experiencing more absences and for what organization. So we can see from the color, for example, the consultant for field services or the manager role for field services have higher absence. And here on the right, we're going to easily figure out which departments we would need to backfill. The absent employees by BU, by department, average days absent per employee, the total average across all the organizations, internal orgs, but also the variation for each department against that average. So you can see which departments and which organizations are going above the average trend for absent days. Okay. This is here a breakdown by department and by job, so we can see which jobs need to be backfilled. And to the right, we have breakdowns by different employee attributes, whether the absences are primarily full-time employees or part-time, whether they're regular or temporaries. Down here, we can take a look at whether they are managers or non-managers, whether they're salaried annually, monthly, or hourly. So different types of breakdowns are possible. And the graph here is trending the absent days month to month, but it also has the average days per absent employee. So this line is trending the average days of absence. And if that's starting to go up, that means we need to be more careful on whether it's by job or department or location. Okay, this is here a calendar view, daily calendar of absences. So we have the month of the 3 months, January, February, March so far, the days of the month, and I can see the number of absent employees for each month. And if I click on a day, it's going to give me a detailed breakdown specific to that day. What reasons? Sickness, cold, furlough, family illness. It's going to give me whether they're managers or non-managers, full-time versus part-time. Again, I can go day to day and see how things are changing on a daily basis. Okay, so that's from a pre-built dashboard perspective. And as Miles mentioned earlier, we do allow extensibility of these. So you can take dashboards like these, add to them, change them, maybe remove the parts that are not applicable to your business. But what I'm going to do next here is to show you how to take the data model and build an analysis kind of in a self-service fashion. So I'm going to get out of this project and create a new project. And I'm going to select the HCM absence management subject area. So this is what you're going to get with our solution. And in this example, I'm going to walk through, I'm going to take a look at jobs and analyze jobs. And there's different ways we can go about this. We can, drag and drop columns here. Under each folder, there's a list of columns preloaded with data. I can drag and drop them over to the canvas. I can double click on the columns, but I find the easiest way is to multi-select the columns as I'm going to do now. So I'm going to select the job. I'm going to go to the absence metrics and select the absence occurrences, number of absent employees, and average days per absent employees. So I selected these 3 metrics with the job, and I'm going to ask the tool to create a best visualization for me. So it comes back with what we call a scatter graph, and each one of those bubbles is a different job. So let's say we want to add a filter now. I'm going to filter on the location, go to the geography dimension, and drag the country up to the filter section, select United States. I can move these columns around. So the bigger bubbles are now indicating higher average absence days. And we can see some of them are bubbling up. These are the ones with higher number of absent employees. Let's say we want to look at things differently for different business units. So I'm going to go to the business unit and double click on the BU name, or I'm going to drag it over and use that as a color differentiator. So now the different bubble colors indicate different business units. And I can see there's a dominant business unit in green, which is the field services where we are experiencing higher absences as opposed to the other business units. Now, this may be a summary high-level view, but I can easily drill down from these. So say I'm looking at the training and development for clerk job. I want to drill and see things, say, by department. So I'm going to right-click and say drill. And now it's going to allow me to drill down in any one of the different attributes within that job code that I clicked on. And it could be employee, it could be anything really, the absence type, but I'm going to say department. And since I have so many attributes in here, I'm just going to start typing and start showing me all the things that start with department. I'm going to select the department name. And it shows me that for that job, I drilled on it exists in 4 different departments. And I can see which departments are experiencing higher absence. And I can keep drilling down as such to whatever piece of information I'm looking for. Okay, so there's the undo functionality in here, very easy to use. You can undo and redo like using any application. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add another visual to the same canvas to look at the narrative that I talked about earlier for natural language generation. So all I need to do to generate something like that is select a column. Say I'm looking at jobs again and the number of absent employees. And I'm going to pick visualization. And these are the different visuals. But I'm going to select the one that says language narrative. Okay, so it automatically generated some text here saying that we can see a few jobs account for more than half of the total. There are a dominant group of jobs, 8 of them. These are the different job codes, their percentages. 35 other jobs combined form 46%. And what I like to do usually is sometimes I have multiple visuals on the same canvas. I like to pin one of them as a filter. So I'm going to use the scatter graph as a filter criteria. And what that allows me to do now is to pick a job in this case and reflect the changes to the other visuals. So if I say I want to look at the job codes with higher absence occurrences, I selected those here in this corner, then the narrative is going to update based on my selection and say, okay, you selected 7 jobs. Out of the 7, there's 3 of them that contribute to the bigger part, and then the remaining 4 is contributing to 37%. So a very quick way of getting insights into the data using that interactive filtering capability. All right, so with that, I think I covered the pre-built content that our solution offers, but also how you can take the data model we deliver and build your own and extend it depending on what your need is. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Susan.
Thank you, Mazen. And for those of you who love to watch our webinars, we've got some more great webinars in store. If by chance you registered for Collaborate 20, as you're well aware, it's not running in Las Vegas this week, but I want to let you know that Perficient has 6 sessions running through the online forum. So please check those out if you haven't already and look for those presentations. So with that, I'll close today's event and thank you again to our presenters. We'll hope to see you online in the future.